The Gothic never dies, it molts. From a fake medieval manuscript in 1764 to dark academia TikToks, it keeps changing costume and terrifying us with. Today, I'm mapping that lineage, where it starts, how it mutates, and why it still haunts our shelves. Here's the spine of it. The Gothic begins with a prank. Horace Walpole drops the Castle of Otranto in 1764 and pretends it's a found medieval text. Readers buy it. Then a giant helmet falls out of the sky and crushes a prince. That shock, ancient curse meets modern nerve, sparks a craze. Castles, secret passages, wandering ghosts, family sins. Everyone wants that shift. Clara Reeve answers with The Old English Baron in 1778 and tries to make Walpole's wildness more plausible. Ann Radcliffe perfects the mood in the 1790s. The Mysteries of Udolpho gives us the innocent heroine, the tyrant, the foreign fortress, the seemingly supernatural that turns out to be rational in the end. Then Matthew Lewis storms in with the monk and throws the doors off the hinges. Devils, ghosts, lust, murder. Radcliffe polishes terror, Lewis wallows in it. By 1800, the river splits. Refined Gothic romance versus transgressive Gothic horror, both immensely popular. So popular that Jane Austen writes Northanger Abbey to tease readers who dream themselves into dread. Now the 19th century adds brains and blood. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein stitches Gothic fear to Enlightenment science. Graveyards, charnel houses, and a creature wandering the sublime Alps while asking hard questions about creation and responsibility. Romanticism brings the Byronic hero into the mix, dark, proud, irresistible. John Polidori's The Vampire turns the vampire into an aristocrat. The Brontës take that energy and make it human. Jane Eyre turns Rochester into the template, a magnetic, morally thorny man and a woman fighting to keep her soul. Emily Bronte's Wuthering Heights is a storm bottled on the moors, complete with a literal haunting. Then Edgar Allan Poe flips the lantern inward. In the 1830s and 40s, he locates terror in the mind. The Fall of the House of Usher, The Telltale Heart. The narrator is the haunted house. Guilt, obsession, unreliable vision. That psychological turn echoes into Charlotte Perkins Gilman's The Yellow Wallpaper and Henry James's The Turn of the Screw. Are there ghosts, or is the mind the real abyss? The answer, both, and that's the point. Victorian Gothic struts in with a double life. Strict morals by day, moldy secrets by night. Dickens knows the power of a rotting room and sells the entire country on Christmas ghost stories. The form matures into cultural touchstones. Jekyll and Hyde is Victorian repression made flesh. The picture of Dorian Gray makes a portrait curdle with sin, while the face stays pretty. Dracula pits trains, typewriters, and blood transfusions against an ancient predator, and cleverly revives the old found documents trick through diaries and clippings. Meanwhile, masters like Sheridan Le Fanu and Henry James sharpen the ghost story into elegant ambiguity. Commuters devour spectral tales in magazines. Proper society gets its scare in polite doses, and taboo topics slip through in sheets of ectoplasm. Think the Gothic runs out of breath after Dracula? Watch what it does when pulp paper, American landscapes, and cosmic dread collide. Early 20th century, Weird Tales magazines resurrect the classics and feed a new beast, cosmic horror. H.P. Lovecraft reads the whole Gothic lineage, then widens the frame. The castle becomes the cosmos. The Call of Cthulhu, the Dunwich Horror, humans as fragile specks facing entities that don't care we exist. It's not about sin and punishment anymore. It's about scale and madness. Robert Bloch, Lovecraft's protege, later channels the Gothic into the modern thriller with Psycho. The vampire cape becomes a bathrobe, and a mummified mother in the fruit cellar. Different outfit, same dread. Meanwhile, the American South grows its own twisted branch. Southern Gothic trades abbeys for decaying plantations and dusty towns poisoned by history. William Faulkner's Yoknapatawpha County is a museum of rot, family secrets, violence, racial terror. Flannery O'Connor's stories put grace and brutality in a head-on collision. Carson McCullers writes loneliness like a fever. Even Harper Lee gives Maycomb a haunted recluse and a lynch mob nightmare. The past refuses to stay buried, and the soil itself seems complicit. Cinema amplifies the aesthetic. German Expressionism gives us skewed shadows in the cabinet of Dr. Caligari and the nightmare silhouette of Nosferatu. Hollywood makes Gothic pop. Dracula, Frankenstein, then a drumroll of monsters. Later, Britain's Hammer films repaint the classics in lusty technicolor. The imagery, stormlit castles, creaking mansions, capes, and coffins gets burned into everyone's retinas, readers or not. Mid-century splits again. On one side, Southern Gothic peaks. Tennessee Williams puts the ghost of the Old South on stage in A Streetcar Named Desire, where delusion loses its last lace fan. O'Connor's assassinations of complacency keep coming. Cormac McCarthy will carry the grotesque into even darker hollows later, and Anne Rice splices Southern atmosphere into vampire romance in Interview with the Vampire. Decay, plague, candlelight, guilt, seduction. On the other side, Gothic romance rises from Daphne du Maurier's Rebecca. A naive bride, a brooding husband, a house that breathes secrets, straight from the Brontës playbook, only modern and sharper. Post-war readers devour waves of paperback Gothics in the 50s, 70s, governesses, cliffside manors, and covers with a wide-eyed woman fleeing a mansion with one sinister window lit. Yes, those covers. You know them. Formulaic? Sure. Addictive? Very. Psychological Gothic also hits a high point. Shirley Jackson's The Haunting of Hill House is a haunted house novel that reads like an exorcism of loneliness. Bloch's Psycho takes the madman out of the dungeon and places him in an American motel with a matching Victorian house on the hill. Hollywood serves up Gaslight for domestic terror, The Innocents for James's ghosts, and The Haunting for pure architectural malice. The castle becomes a split level of the mind. Late 20th century, the Gothic spreads everywhere. Stephen King retools the classics. Salem's Lot is Dracula in small-town Maine, with the spooky Marston house watching. The Shining is a haunted house novel inside a failing father. Angela Carter rewrites fairy tales with teeth. Joyce Carol Oates keeps finding American houses with locked basements. Susan Hill's The Woman in Black proves the Victorian ghost tale still chills. Toni Morrison's Beloved turns haunting into historical reckoning. Clive Barker fuses Baroque imagery with splatterpunk and gives us demons who catalog desire like librarians of pain. Postmodernism plays too. House of Leaves makes the haunted house impossible, and the page itself a maze. Movies and the culture loop it all back. Coppola's Dracula and Branagh's Frankenstein revel in lush Gothic spectacle. Interview with the Vampire makes decadence purr. Tim Burton leads millions through neo-Gothic theme parks. Sleepy Hollow's Fog, Gotham's Gargoyles. Kids grow up on Goosebumps and scary stories to tell in the dark. Goth becomes a look, a soundtrack, a mood. By now, the Gothic isn't just a shelf, it's a mode. Haunted houses, doubles, cursed portraits, tyrant lovers. These motifs slip into realism, fantasy, crime, anything. The 21st century? The Gothic signs the lease again. Writers like Sarah Waters, Susan Hill, and John Harwood bring back the classic ghost story with modern psychology and social bite. Global voices bend the mode to new histories. Post-colonial ruins, fresh hauntings. Cosmic horror goes mainstream. True Detective whispers the king in yellow over a southern crime scene. Jeff Vandermeer's Annihilation makes ecology uncanny. Victor Laval's The Ballad of Black Tom reclaims Lovecraft's mythos from a black perspective. Films like Color Out of Space channel unnamable dread, even art house chillers, The Witch, It Follows, lean into metaphysical doom. And then comes dark academia, the Gothic in a tweed blazer. Donna Tartt's The Secret History sets the pattern. Obsession, dead languages, murder as a seminar topic. A new wave, If We Were Villains, The Maidens, Babel, Ninth House, turns cloisters into castles, libraries into catacombs, professors into tempters. Online, the aesthetic explodes, candlelit desks, Latin quotes, and a hunger for esoteric knowledge with a bruise under the eye. Underneath the romance lies critique, elitism, pressure, cultish loyalty, classic Gothic tensions in a new hallway. So what holds all this together? A few obsessions that never tire, the past invading the present, desire wrestling with law, places that remember what people want to forget, and the mask we wear over the thing we're afraid to be. The Gothic changes its clothes, monastery, manor, motel, campus, cosmos, but the mirror stays the same. Back to that opening claim. The Gothic survives because it adapts to the era's anxieties. Enlightenment pride gets Walpole's prank. Romantic ambition births Frankenstein. Victorian respectability breeds doubles, portraits, and caped intruders. Modern alienation summons cosmic indifference. Our current moment, jittery with data and dread, turns to haunted institutions and planetary fear. Different century, same chill. Your turn. Which branch owns your soul? Radcliffe's elegant terror, the Brontës storm, Poe's mind maze, Southern Gothic's rot, Lovecraft's void, or dark academia's candlelit conspiracies? Drop your vote and your favorite Gothic scene in the comments. If you're new here and you like your literature with trapdoors and thunder, subscribe and stay. Until next time, keep your candles lit and your prefaces loaded.